know the context, you know the background. You are the person, in fact, who can tell us what is the way forward. I mean, how do we address this issue? Because 8 years and the performance has been still lackadaisical. So over to you, Mr. Gunnar.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Kumar, and thank you, Mr. Zumair, my good friend, Mr. Sudhir Jha, friends in the audience, and friends from AIMO listening to this conversation. We heard Mr. Sudhir Jha giving us the statistics of information, what changes, policy changes has been impacted in the last, especially 5-6 years, and where are we likely to have opportunities to capture in the next couple of years from the public procurement policies. But as an entrepreneur, let's understand there is a overhead tank and there is a tap point. The overhead tank has the water. There is a thirst at the end of the tap point. People are waiting in queue to take the water, but the water is not coming properly. So we have to understand there is a block somewhere in the piping. Unless we remove the block, keep pouring more water into the overhead tank doesn't make any difference. Or keep adding more people in the queue that the water is available here to use has no meanings. Now, as an entrepreneur, when I do a business with anybody for that matter, I look for only 4 things. I look for a price. I look for a transparent order receipts and order executions and order acceptance, payments, and the dignity of serving. These are the 4 things which anybody expects. If you are a honest entrepreneur, if you are looking for a head over the shoulder transparency or happiness of doing business, then these are 4 essential things. Now, what blocks an entrepreneur going near the public procurement? 1, in terms of transparency. 2, in terms of corruption. 3, in terms of losing our self-respect in chasing and following up from table to table, file to file, and not knowing where it is standing. The 4, we need to compromise on quality to make the profit. And compromising the quality may give us addition of money, but it takes away the peace of mind, the satisfaction. End of the day, what we live with is a question of happiness versus financial money. What is the use of having money when you don't have the satisfaction? So these are the points. When it comes to the public procurement, all what we have done is, in the last 6 years, we have made amply possibility of faceless transactions, digital transactions, online transparent methodologies. This is what we are trying to make. So that calls for a change in system, change in outlook, change in thought process, change in softwares and things like that, which is getting ready. And we know GST with a great, the knowledge base of the world, this country came out with a package of GST by not less than a company of reputation. But even after 3 years, we are going through the glitches of using it because the volume of users are high and the knowledge of users are low, and we are evolving towards a process. It is like a child trying to get up and walk. It has to fall, it has to crawl, it has to be held, and then it will start walking one day, and then it will start running one day. And it's the most happiness in chasing the child and catching it or not catching it also. So the same way, the entrepreneurs in this country are evolving themselves to adapt to their huge market opportunities which exist in the public procurement areas. Now, we need to have respect for technologies, respect for qualities, respect for the entrepreneurial talent what we have. How do we seal this? How do we make the decision maker different from the actual procuring agency. That is what NSIC came in for, National Small Industries Development Corporation. That is what it came in for. But unfortunately, when that was formed, it was not ready with the digital platforms to perform. So it was still needing human interactions, manual interactions, personal whims and fancies, and the interferences from the top levels, from political levels, interferences. This is how we were not able to move. It is like, putting the handbrake in the car and then trying to press the accelerator to move. Car may be excellent and the driver may be excellently capable, but then your handbrakes are on. But you have to remove the handbrake. So how do you remove the handbrake? So the handbrake, can we do away with handbrake? We cannot. We need the handbrake, but we really don't know when to push it up and when to push down. That is the problem. Now, entrepreneurs will have to find a normal way with the SMEs. It has to be done. It has to be evolved. So therefore, a separate entity might be closely held in order to do the procurement process for the government. The earlier DGSND was mentioned for that, but the DGSND did the job of price fixation. But now probably the digital platform of doing the business has to happen there. A new methodology will evolve shortly to bridge the gap, because up to 200 crore, now you cannot import. It is not just a question of local companies getting the benefit. Earlier, the import was giving easiest to scope of siphoning of foreign dollars from this country. Easiest to scope. Because if I give it to a local company, I'll have to receive in cash in Indian rupees. So if I give it to a foreign company, the transactions happen across the country. So it was easier for us to follow such routes. Today, it is not so. The opportunities have increased. The government has rightly pitched upon bringing the foreigners to come here and set up the manufacturing units here. The local competitiveness, the local partnerships, the local evolving the technology base. They have even opened up the restricted segments for foreign direct investments now. So we always convert a negative into positive. A tough time must always be looked at from the positive emergence out of it. In my 35 years of entrepreneurship, it is always the failures that has taught me lessons. When one door closes, we open 100 doors. When we slide down, we don't forget to again go up and walk up. Corona or COVID has brought us down. There's no doubt about it. But how long we can crib with it? So we have to come up from it. How do we come up from it? Here is a food which is available for every one of us to eat. And how do we eat it? We don't want to compromise the value systems. We don't want to compromise the discipline which we have been practicing. We don't want to lose our name and fame and be on the roads tomorrow, acquisitions. And we don't want to run away from the country one fine day to escape from the people who owe you money or whom you owe money. So all these things, today you will find the present procurement process with the government, public procurement process will evolve. COVID has helped us. Realization of the government money within 45 days has helped. Today afternoon, Madam has announced the EMD will be reduced to 3% instead of 5% or 10%. Performance guarantees will be reduced to 3%. EMDs will be fully waived. And they have recognized certain areas where they could give certain flexibility to the partners, players. Financial crunch is known everywhere. Government is facing cash crunch, entrepreneurs are facing cash crunch, banks are facing cash crunch, everybody is facing. But then the beauty is we all hold our hands and then we survive and we float. and then we go together, and then we survive. And that is the need of the hour today. So there is a great opportunity. Sooner a system will evolve that you will have in fingertip of an information of what is the tender which is available and how to participate in a digital mode without having to meet anybody in person, without having a need to grease the palms, without having a need to lose your face of integrity, and evolve a process in which the moment you submit a bill, it will be notified and the payment will come automatically to you without needing to chase. And the goods will be either passed or rejected by X party first, and then it will go to an independent Y party in the organization to certify. Then it will pass through so that vested interest rejections are not possible. Vested interest acceptance are also not possible. These are all the things which will evolve over the time of next 2 to 3 years, because there is a need, there is a demand, there is a shortage. Removing of the block is the easiest. Filling the water is the toughest. And removal of the block, I think the present government has very carefully understood the blockage, and they are working towards removal of the blockage. They don't want to damage the pipeline. They don't want to take a longer time in doing it. It has to be done in an intelligent way, and it is being done in an intelligent way. I heard that all of you must have heard a couple of days back when our MSME minister, Mr. Nitin Gadkari, was inaugurating an NHAI building. He openly criticized the way the government works, the way the people in the government are working. Such a thing was not heard of, right? At least the minister has the frankness, the transparency, the openness, the boldness to say it openly. And he says, change or perish. If he can say this to his own officials, that is what he means to the entrepreneurs also. Change or perish. If you are perishing, I don't have interest in you, get out. If you are changing, then I have interest in you, let me help you to grow faster. This is the mantra. We have no choice. We have to do things in such a way it helps everybody to live a decent life, a secured life, and a happy life, and something which we can feel very proud of, something which our children will see it and feel very proud of, and not just making money. This is where we stand, and these are the issues and the factors which you should consider. And we will become sooner. Earlier, it used to be a table chair company will take the order and then subcontract the order to X, Y, Z. All these were happening. Now, all the table chair companies, shell companies, all these companies will vanish now. Will vanish now. Wait and see. That is why they are asking for origin of manufacturing, and they are asking for test certification. Only OE suppliers can participate. All these rules have come. End of the day, the rule is getting tightened. And the tightness is not liked by some people. It's okay, but things will change. And I'm friends, and all I'm thinking is the days are not very far where we would become more and more happier in doing business. Forget the ease of doing business. What is more important is happiness of doing business. Today we are doing business under pressure. We must do business with pleasure. So the difference between pressure and the pleasure is not just the loan or the ECGLS schemes or the money. It is L, and the L is learning, and the learning is practicing. So we'll hope for the best, and thank you for the opportunity, Dr. Kumar, and I am willing to take on more queries on this. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Raghunathan. I think it was very useful, very exhaustive. You are a highly optimistic person, as I see, in spite of this, pessimism which is prevailing across micro and small sector and the problems that they are facing. Your, enthusiasm and your morale boosting advice is really very helpful in these times. So we do understand, in fact, the problems, but then there has to be a way forward, as you rightly mentioned.
Kumar, one minute.
The digital,
Mr. Raghunathan, you put out a note saying that you were disappointed from the SME sector, but you're also in the EPFO. The government has said that if establishments hire employees, that the government will foot the bill for the PF contribution. Do you not see that as adequate?
Good evening, Faye.
Good evening.
You know why I said disappointment is on two grounds. One is, as you rightly said, both the diagnosis is wrong, prescription is wrong. Why is it wrong? Suppose if the diagnosis is unemployment or creating employment, then the prescription what the government is giving is, if you re-employ the same people whom you lost in the last 6 months, or any new employment who has so far not been covered under EPFO, provided with some rider condition, that I will pay for next 2 years their EPFO contribution for both the employer and the employee side. Now let's understand, I run a company, okay? I lost couple of my employees because I couldn't afford their salary, not because I could not afford their PF contribution. PF contribution in my cost to the company is only 12%. And the employee side, it is another 12%. So just by giving me the PF contribution does not enthuse me to hire them. I did not fire them with willingness. I am eager to have them back. But the question is, where is the order? Where is the demand? Where is my use of them? That is the painful aspect of it. We would always love to have more number of people, take care of them socially and give them the social security and enjoy the benefit for both of us deriving out of it. But unfortunately, in today's context, merely giving an incentive of I will pay PF actually will not enthuse the entrepreneurs to hire more people. And the rider condition has made it amply clear not many will benefit. Not many will benefit. Let's take, for example, that there are two rider conditions. Okay, one is the employee must be less than 15,000 salary. Today, who is drawing 15,000 rupees salary? Hardly you will have anybody with it. Then the second one is minimum of 4% of the new employees of your total employee must be the new employment. 4%, which that means for 50 people, for example, 4% is 2 persons. So if I have a minimum of 2 new employees, I am eligible for this. That's another rider which makes you, go out of it. Like this, I give you, it's like, you pour the water into the tank, but then close the tap. So anyway, you will never get a water. So it is like that. And most of the schemes, unfortunately, it's only the needle piercing my veins, but without a medicine.
Delhi's COVID cases spike as temperatures drop and pollution rises. Now, Delhi is reporting 8,500 cases of COVID a day. This was Wednesday's number. It was the highest ever. It has never, even in the first, if we call it our first phase or the first wave, it had not reported cases this high. We're also seeing a similar sort of rise again in the number of cases come up in Kerala. Here's my question about business and the economy. If we face, God forbid, a second spike in cases, how would we deal with that? Mr. Raghunathan, you're on the ground, you're running a business. How would you deal with that? Would we need another lockdown? Would we need subdued business? How would we deal with it if we saw this Delhi spike post-festive season happen in other parts of the country? What would that mean for the economy?
This is actually the cause of concern for every entrepreneur. Let me tell you, Faye, last week, about 40% of the export orders have been put on a hold.
Okay.
40%, not one or two.
Hold by whom?
They were supposed to have been sent to European market. They have been asked to be kept on a hold because of the second lockdown in European market. Second, lot of companies which have some components which are yet to come from European market, they have not received it. For example, if a machine of mine is costing me to manufacture 5 lakhs, and if there is about 50,000 worth of a component is yet to come, I still lock up my capital. So this is seriously happening. Second, there are people who are dangerously being caught, those who we send to the sites, field activities, for installations, commissioning, testing. Most of them, about 60% of them, either they need to have self-quarantine when they return back, or they need to be safeguarded from further continuance of usages. And so what is happening is we are getting stuck with the input material. We are also getting stuck with the output material, which is not to be installed yet. So we are being choked on both the sides. This is the biggest concern which nobody has realized. Nobody is talking about it. In fact, I was always been saying, when you don't know the depth of the water, don't try and cross it. Where there is a flood, we understand. We are all drowning, we understand. And the government is trying to bring a ship to save us, and we don't know when the ship will come. We are only saying, give us a plank which we can hold and keep the nose above the water. Because otherwise, by the time you bring the ship, none of us will exist. Then there will be some few corporate companies which will be existent with another small ships, and none of them will sail anywhere, and it will lead us into chaos. Even today, we do not know what will be the status of this country with regard to COVID situation 1 month from now. We do not know. Wait and watch after the Deepavali festival. We will know the result. On one side, if you take the Tamil Nadu government today, had given a no-go signal for some processions of the BJP party here. They wanted to carry something, and then they put no conditions. Now, for 100 people, 200 people, if you have restrictions, if I run a company with 500 people, what kind of a fear I will have? What kind of a worry I will have? Do I have to face that? Do I have to focus that? Do I have to deal with it? I have to deal with it. End of the day, nobody is going to come. So the problem is with the government announcements. I'm happy, some announcements are making, but that announcement must be of use to us like a plank, if not like a vitamin to take us to the shore, at least a plank. Today, you see, you yourself will laugh, Faye. Today's announcement, one scheme, 18,000 crore is an additional outlay for PM Awas Yojana scheme today. The article says, the slide of the finance minister reads, saying this will help 12 lakh houses to be grounded. You tell me in a layman's term, if you say grounded means all the houses will be brought down. I don't know who writes these kind of slangs to write. So 12 lakh houses will be grounded, 18 lakhs to be completed. Expected additional jobs, 78 lakhs. My dear, with 18,000 crore if you pump in, and if you can create 17,000 lakh jobs, where do you get all this figure? Does it mean you are accepting 78 lakhs jobs have been lost in the last 6 months? Are you then accepting? Or what are you accepting? What are you trying to convey? So we are getting fooled. The last week you did yourself debate. The steel industries have said shortage of material because there is no production. Everywhere I'm seeing people suffocating, struggling. And whereas we are talking, it is only minus 8.6%. I don't know, Faye. You tell me, Faye. If I am wrong, I will be willing to correct. Last first quarter, which is April, May, June, the RBI had said it will be only minus 11% and 12%. Then somebody came and told, globally, when I compare, it is minus 24%. Now RBI is saying 8.6. Now will somebody come and tell me after 1 month that it will be 27%? I don't know whom to believe.
So let me bring in Mr. Guruswamy. Mr. Guruswamy, I'm extending the same question to you. If we find, again, I hope not, and God forbid, but we're looking at Delhi, we're looking at Kerala, we're looking at Europe, and we've been in the entire COVID circle a couple of months behind Europe, in the curve so far.
And also US.
And also US. And US is seeing a spike as well. would our economy be able to handle another wave of COVID? Should it be business idea?
Yeah.
Business idea, cold chaining.
No, we don't know. No, when you put your money and then if you don't get the business, what happens? I can tell you, thousands of people in Tirupur went ahead in making the mask and the whatever they were, and today they are all lost heavily.
Why?
Because there is no, suddenly the government banned them from export. So they were manufacturing here. Then the consumption here went to reduce because the government wanted to show that there is a less number of cases. So the consumption here then went down. Then the government opened again the gate for export. So we don't, the reference goalpost is changing. No, where do you play the game? So you're, that's fine. There is a market potential. There are that way plenty of market potential. But the question is, this is not the time for us to play. We have to wait. We really don't know what is the right thing to do now. And I have been always saying, this is a time just to pass with making short-term decisions to survive, not long-term visionary statements. And the short-term statements in the entire 29.5 lakh crores, I don't see any short-term statements. In today's announcement, tell me, 5-year announcement on PLI. That is not what I wanted. I wanted to know how will I cope up for the next 6 months. My first 6 months in this year is a loss, heavy loss. I am carrying on with a bad shoulder and I am expecting to become a NPA the moment the bar is lifted. And 30 to 35% is the NPA likely to come. I am not Yes Bank, where SBI will come and bail me out. I am a small company. If I put my shutter down, they will also pull my collar out. The bank will come after my blood. It is not easy. So where is the solution for me? You tell me where is the solution? I don't see any solution. Neither there is a discussion, nor there is a redressal. Today we are simply extending. The only scheme so far which the government has given to the MSME is the ECLGS scheme. Faye, I want to add up to this, Faye.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Since you asked this question, let me share with you my own experience. I have a 60 lakhs loan with a bank, and I got this ECLGS scheme of 20% of my outstanding. So I got about 11 lakhs money given to me in the month of July. When they gave me that 11 lakhs, they took away 2 months installment EMI themselves from the bank. And my each installment was 1.7 lakhs. So 3.4 lakhs they took away. Then I have to pay GST for the 4 months. Then I have to pay PF and ESI. Then I have to pay salary. Then I have to pay bonus. I have to pay the Diwali advances to my staff. And the last month itself, I had zero balance in my bank. Number one. Now I am under moratorium. Every month I am paying close to about 11,000 rupees as an interest. 1 year moratorium. After that, I have to do the repayment. How will I repay? I have not used that money for a good purpose. I have not used it for making profit. If I borrow money, I must put it into the business where I can make profit. Now I have not made profit. I have made only losses. You tell me the entire 1.5 lakhs crore which has been called as a dispersal is going to come back around you. At least 70% will boomerang on you after 1 year for non-repayment. It's going to throw you back. So we are just doing something for the sake of doing, for the sake of calling it like a big name. Let me explain to you this, the interest waiver scheme, which went ahead and then a big scheme was announced during the moratorium period. Simple interest or compound interest will be repaid back to you. Do you know how much I got? I paid an interest for the 6 months close to about 4.5 lakhs. The government gave me back 6,000 rupees. You call that 6,000 is what I was begging for, or fighting for, or arguing for, or waiting for? Please, where are we at? You have made entrepreneurs a beggars in this country.
Yes,
You have made entrepreneurs a beggars. Faye, in my opinion, 70% of the entrepreneurs in this country are wearing masks. I am not talking about the mask of from COVID. We are all wearing a mask of smile. Inside we are crying, weeping, blood shedding. So we are the only sincere people with mask. We are not infected by COVID. We are infected by several other problems. So if at all you want to give a credit to some people who are wearing masks, please give it that at least to the entrepreneurs.